All right, so for those of us that are filmmakers and photographers, getting out with our camera and lenses and drones is super easy. Going out, capturing that content is the best part of what we do. However, bringing that content back to actually edit it, well, that's where things maybe get a little bit difficult, at least for me. But over the last 3 or so weeks, I've been putting together the gear and stuff that I need to put together the ultimate editing setup. So that way, when I sit down to edit, it feels a little bit like, yeah, it feels like that. What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here. First of all, if this is your first time to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button because this channel is all about filmmaking gear, tips, and tutorials. But as I mentioned before, today we're going to be looking at my ultimate editing setup. Now, this editing setup has been something that I've been working on continuously because if you're someone like me, you shoot a lot of video, but also that means you have to then edit a ton of video, which means you're normally spending tons and tons of hours at your desk editing. So as I said before, over the last couple weeks, I've been really trying to dial in what I need to make this super efficient editing setup. And so I want to take you guys through my entire desk tour right now so you guys can see what I'm using, so maybe it'll inspire you guys what to look for when creating the best setup. So let's start with the heart of the setup, which is my 15-inch Touch Bar MacBook Pro. Now, this thing is a beast. It handles everything that I could possibly throw at it, and it's really portable in case I need to take it away from my desk. Now, the things that I do like about this one in particular, it is a i7 quad core with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I also have 500 gigabytes of SSD storage built in. However, I'm gonna get to why that is not important at all in just a little bit. But the most important thing and reason why I went with the MacBook is because I know some people are not gonna like this, but I primarily edit in Final Cut Pro X. Now, I know there's a whole video I can do on why you should edit with Premiere or edit with Final Cut or After Effects or whatever, but the reason why I choose to go with the MacBook is it gives me the option of choosing whichever program I want to use. Now, in my opinion, the thing of next importance next to the MacBook is your hard drives. Hard drives are crucial when editing, especially if you're someone like myself who captures a lot of video. You don't want all that bogging up your computer, so buying external hard drives is going to become a necessity. Now, when it comes to external hard drives, basically I break them up into 3 different types. First, you have your main editing drive. For me, this is the portable SSD Samsung T5. I think that's what it is, or maybe there's a new model number now or something. But this is the drive that I use to edit all my projects off of. The only time I'm using this drive is when I'm actually editing. When I'm done editing with that project, it moves over to one of my 2 other constant storage drives. Now, my constant storage drives basically are these 2 drives that I use by G-Tech, and they are each RAID drives. So what this means is that each drive actually has 2 hard drives in them, and they're basically clones of one another. Basically, the projects that live on these 2 drives are things that I've been working on in the last couple months, maybe even the last year, but it's something that I'm using continuously. Now, the thing that's most important about these drives are these are all projects, or they all have something on them that I could possibly need again. This is why they live on these drives, because they are rated. So if something ever happens to one of the drives, I at least know I have a backup right there. Now, the third type of drive that I use is I call these long-term storage drives. And basically, these are just cheap hard drives that I buy off of Amazon or from Best Buy, basically whoever has the best sell. And this is where I stick folders of content that I don't use anymore. These are my long-term storage drives. These are projects that I'm probably never gonna need again. I'll probably never go through them again, but I just don't wanna completely delete the files, so I put all that stuff on these long-term drives. Now, these drives, as I mentioned before, are very inexpensive, which means they're also very slow. These are not the type of drives you're gonna wanna edit off of. They are perfect for holding onto footage that you don't necessarily need anymore, but you also don't wanna delete. So now that we've got the hard drives all out of the way, now let's move over into what I call my import master station. Now, this is a device created by Lexar, and I believe they still sell this even though Lexar isn't in business or something. I'm not really sure how that whole thing works, but I think you can still find these things on Amazon. This thing is absolutely amazing, especially if you have a MacBook Pro, because as a lot of you guys know with the MacBook Pros, ports are not easy to come by on this thing. And so basically with this Lexar, import drive, you actually can import multiple types of content or multiple cards at the same time. So for example, with the current configuration that I actually have a 256 gigabyte SSD drive, I have a CFast card importing station, I have a micro SD card importing station, and I have an SD card importing station. Now the awesome part is that all 4 of these different types of connection points all route through one cable that goes directly into the MacBook. So this way I can actually import multiple types of cards at the same time. So if you're like me and you're shooting on a 1DX that takes, a CFast card, and then you're shooting with a drone that takes a micro SD card, and then you're shooting with another camera that takes an SD card, well, you can actually import all these cards at the exact same time using this Lexar hub. Moving on from the hub, we move over to what I get the most questions about, and that is my 2 monitors. Now, I do like to run a 2 monitor setup, which does mean 2 different inputs for HDMI on my laptop, but I use these 2 really cheap HP monitors. Now, personally, I've chosen not to invest a lot of money in my monitors, primarily because the monitor on the actual MacBook is so good. My typical editing workflow is I just use my 2 HP monitors to actually cut my video all together, and then when I'm all done cutting the video, I will actually then open up my laptop and use my laptop screen to actually do all my coloring. Because the Apple computers have their Retina displays and the screen is so nice, this is where I actually will do any fine tuning if I need a high quality screen. But for the most part, my 2 HP monitors are perfect. And last but not least, the piece that I just recently added to my entire setup is this IKEA sit stand desk. I absolutely love this thing. The ability to go from sitting to standing in just a matter of seconds, and being able to actually move my entire system up so I'm not always sitting down while editing is crucial. Not only is it really good for you to be standing up while you're working, but it also, I find that it actually pushes me to get my work done faster. Because I'm standing up, and you tend to, actually maybe get a little tired from standing, I tend to not drift into the ever sea of YouTube video watching, that if I'm standing there, I actually tend to get my work done quicker, and as I've said already, it's really good for your body. This thing was super simple to put together, unlike most IKEA furniture apparently, but I thought this thing was super amazing. It has this amazing net underneath it that actually houses all of your cables to kind of keep everything together, so that way when everything rises, cables aren't being stretched at the bottom. And overall, this desk is plenty big to be able to house everything that I'm putting on it. Now, as I've done with all my other YouTube setup videos that I've been doing, which if you haven't checked that out, definitely check out that playlist, but I will have links to everything I've talked about down in the description if I can find it. And if you guys have any questions about anything that you guys have seen in this desk tour, definitely let me know so I can make a full video on that. And last but not least, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because I'd really appreciate it if you guys follow me along this journey, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.